Fasten your seatbelts. It's time for the Anything Goes Hour with Stu Bryer.
All right, it's a pleasure to have on the phone with us. We've been looking forward to speaking with him today, and that is Michael Rauh from the Chelsea Groton Savings Bank. Michael Rauh, President and CEO of the Chelsea Groton Bank. Hi, Michael.
How are you? Great to be here with you. Thanks for having me on.
I hope you are doing well in these strange times, for sure. I guess your bank.
I'm healthy and happy, and just working, trying to help people as much as we can.
And we want people to know, of course, you're still available with all the things that they're going to need. Chelsea Groton Bank, 165 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll be in a couple of months. We'll be celebrating our 166th birthday.
So the bank has been through a lot of things: famines, storms, pandemics, crashes, wars.
I have not. I've only been through about 150 years of those.
Yeah,
myself.
I understand. Yeah,
and it certainly feels that way right now. But I've reminded people over the last 6 weeks that Chelsea Groton. I mean, I think we're fortunate in Eastern Connecticut to have a number of community banks like Chelsea Groton. That have been here for the community in the good times and the bad. And I think in some respects, community banks are at their best during times like this in terms of, being able to help people through the hard times. And, I'll tell you honestly, I've never been more proud to be a community banker, and I've never been more proud of our team at Chelsea Groton. There are just so many different ways that we've been helping people proactively, customers and folks in the community, and it's great to be able to do that.
So, Michael, with this pandemic, I'm sure people are wondering, well, how has this changed our bank? Has it changed much? What is different?
Well, we made a pretty fortuitous investment several years ago. It actually started in 2016, but really finished up early last year, where we virtualized our entire operations from a technology standpoint. So we literally have not missed a beat since this whole thing started. We were defined by both the federal government and the state government as an essential service from the beginning of the incarceration, if you would, the shutdown. And so all of our branches have remained open, the drive-throughs during normal operating hours, and the lobbies during normal operating hours by appointment. And 100% of our administrative staff has been working remotely. We have a couple of facilities folks that are obviously still doing facilities stuff, and we've got somebody in the main office who's focusing on the mail and deliveries. But for the most part, we're all in our home offices working probably longer hours than we would normally work, but being just as productive. It's kind of ironic. We were saying the other day, our absenteeism is actually lower now than it's ever been. In some respects, we're not in the office. I'll be the first one to admit I'm one of those guys who thinks he's tough, and when he gets sick, he still goes into the office, and I'm probably doing the wrong thing because I'm, getting other people sick. So I think the fact that we're all home and nobody's getting each other sick, we're actually, as productive or more productive than we've ever been.
So let's talk about a few things, Michael, at Chelsea Groton Savings Bank. This is a time when small businesses are really in rough shape. Are many of them coming to you with the disaster relief loans?
Yeah, so we've been incredibly busy. I would say, from a lending standpoint, in three main areas. First off, when the Federal Reserve dropped interest rates precipitously back in January and February, it started a surge of refinancing. So there's been a tremendous number of people who have been able to refinance their homes and save significant amounts of money by lowering their interest rate. So that's been a big push for us. On a second wave is really what you're talking about, where existing businesses and folks who have been laid off or had their hours cut back, they've come to us, and we very early on established a very simple process for people to get a 3-month deferment on their existing loans. So we have, I think, through the end of the day yesterday, 465 existing customers, both small businesses and homeowners, who we've granted a 3-month reprieve on their loan payments. It doesn't end up costing them anymore. We're essentially shifting those payments to the end of the loan. But for 3 months, they can take that monthly payment that they would have made to us, and they can use it for other things. And then the last piece, as you talked about, these small business loans, it started just a little bit more than a month ago. So April 3rd was the first day that the SBA made these loans available. In a month, we've made more than 500 of these loans to local businesses. It's about $75 million, I think, now in total. And it supports, I think most importantly, it supports more than 5,000 jobs in the community. It's called the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, and paycheck is the operative word. It's really designed to keep people working or to bring people back who may have been laid off. And so, as I say, the 500 loans that we've done so far, and we're still making them today, that supports more than 5,000 jobs in the region. So it's great to be able to do all of those things.
Michael Rauh, President and CEO of Chelsea Groton Bank, with us for a few minutes here on this segment of our program. So this is very interesting. The Chelsea Groton Foundation has really helped out with this pandemic. Southeastern Connecticut contributed $250,000 for emergency relief efforts and supporting the ongoing work of many area nonprofits. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that's an equally important aspect of what we do, and what we've been doing is supporting the nonprofit community in the region, and in the same way businesses, for-profit businesses have been affected because customers either they've been forced to shut down or their operations have been scaled back for delivery only or takeout only. A lot of the area nonprofits, a lot of the funding and income that they get comes from events that they would have been doing now or this summer or in the fall, and they're just not able to have those events. So the income from those events is just a huge setback for them from an operating standpoint. And so our foundation has been looking at really kind of two different areas. One is meeting the basic human needs of folks who don't have jobs, and so the nonprofits that support the food banks and clothing and shelter. We've reached out and provided funding to those, but also to the organizations, the nonprofits whose events have been canceled or they're not going to be able to have them in the next few months, and tried to provide operating resources for them or to support other kinds of fundraising that they may be doing. I will say both from the business and the nonprofit standpoint, people are getting very creative about how to replace some of their income. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and so I think there's been some really interesting creative ways that people have used to keep themselves afloat during this time period. And it's been a great pleasure to be able to support those efforts.
So, Michael, online banking and mobile banking is probably as high as it's ever been, would you say?
Yeah, all those channels, both people who had them and are using them more now, and new people. That we've had record days and record weeks of new people signing up for online banking, for mobile banking. All of our small business cash management tools. Our call center has been busier than ever. We've got 8 folks in our call center, and they're all working from remote locations. I think we average about 300 calls a day into our call center. That average has gone up to 400 during the day, and we had a couple of days where we were over 800 calls when those stimulus checks went out, and everybody wanted to check on the status of their stimulus checks.
So, sure, yeah.
Every one of our channels has been kind of going crazy, and it's great. It's great to have that because frankly, it's what's kept commerce going, and we're thrilled to be able to have that. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm sure you've seen, like I've seen, some just extraordinary stories of the great work that people are doing in a time of kind of coming together and rallying around friends and family and community. But unfortunately, these times also bring out bad guys, and so there's also been a tremendous increase in attempts at fraud across all of our channels. So we've had to be extra vigilant, and so far, I'm knocking on wood here. So far the bad guys haven't gotten us, but it's not for a lack of trying on their part. So that's an unfortunate part of sort of the reality of today is the bad guys seize on opportunities like this to try to take advantage of people.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about that, Michael? Because it's so important of what customers to look for, and there's all kinds of angles, particularly waiting for the stimulus checks, and people are going through rough times. Give me some examples that we need to look for.
Well, there's people who are online or on email, selling COVID-19 cures. There are people who are trying to get you to click on a link that would take you to some prize that you've won. There are people who are saying they're representing the IRS and that they can't find the bank account for you to have your stimulus check sent to, and if you just click on this link and put in your bank information, you'll get your stimulus money. They're always creative, and the thing we always tell people is, A, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is not true, and B, no bank and the IRS is ever going to ask you to click on a link and give you their information. We're never going to call you and ask you to give personal private information. So anybody who tries to represent themselves as a government agency, a police department, a bank, and they're asking you to provide personal private information, it's just not true, and you should just hang up and ignore it, or delete the email, or hang up the phone, because it's not true.
Well, so far so good, and everybody's been okay with that. In your bank, yeah. From
a banking perspective, I can't speak to every single person out there in the community who may have gotten one of these things, but we're doing our best to warn people and tell them to be extra vigilant. Unfortunately, this is this has been a trend for years, and it's only sort of increased during this time. So it's a good time to be extra vigilant when you get phone calls from people you don't know, or emails that you're not expecting from somebody.
So the drive-through through banking hours is open at regular times.
Yeah, and surprisingly busy. We were talking. Our transactions were about in the month of April of this year were about 70% of what they were in April a year ago. So still very, very busy through the drive-throughs, and there isn't anything that anybody's asked for or asked us to do that we haven't been able to figure out how to do. So continuing to do everything that customers need and the community needs.
And of course, banking appointments in the lobby.
Yep, you can call any branch or call our direct number and make an appointment. We ask you a couple of screening questions before you can come into the lobby. We just want to make sure that people don't have a fever. They don't have the symptoms of COVID-19, and they haven't been near somebody that does. Just so we keep our employees safe. But to the degree that people need to get into their safe deposit boxes or other things like that, we're able to oblige them.
Get a hotline number, too, which is going to be handy for a lot of people for COVID-19 related banking questions.
Yeah, really anything. We pretty early on established that hotline. It's 860-448-4195. Obviously, you can call the main number at 448-4200 anytime. But if you want to get directly to someone to talk about an issue, schedule an appointment for a branch or ask about a loan deferment or the other thing we've been doing is for people who want to get access to certificates of deposit. We've been waiving those fees for taking out some of the money from those. So, and any of those questions, you can call the hotline at 448-4195.
Michael's with us from the Chelsea Groton Savings Bank. I think we have a question for you here. Nope, I guess we lost somebody there. Do you still have those lollipops? I know that Chelsea Bank should have a great abundance when everything opens up, for sure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they have individual covers on them, so I think they're probably still safe.
Still good, okay. A little treat. So, anything else we need to know, Michael? I'm glad we could touch base with you because people, like everything that we're going through with this virus, are thinking, well, how are things changed with the bank? And obviously, everything is there for the folks.
Yeah, I think in some respects, because a lot of the trends that we've talked about, in terms of online banking and mobile banking, none of this stuff is really new for this. The trend towards automation goes back to the origins of the automated teller machine, the ATM. So, our world has been sort of transitioning in some respects to this for a long time. I think it's the environment for the last 6 weeks has sort of has accelerated the use of some of these things. But we're pretty used to being able to do business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's great that we have all of these things in place. A lot of business are sort of scrambling to figure out how to work from home or how to give customers access to their services. In a new environment. This is sort of standard operating procedure for us in some respects, so it really hasn't necessarily affected us the way it would have. And as I say, we've been fortunate over the years to have a good, strong, well-run bank and built up a lot of capital. And this is the time where that capital is most important for to allow us to be able to do the kinds of things that we're doing, to make loans to people, to refinance their loans, to give them some breathing room for a few months to not make payments. And so that's like I said from the beginning, I'm so proud to be part of a community bank during a time like this, because it's personally rewarding to be able to help the community in the ways that we have been.
Michael Rauh, President and CEO of Chelsea Groton Bank. It's a pleasure to speak with you. And stay well, and let's hope in a few months we can get back to everything we used to do.
I love sitting there in the studio with you and having the chance to chat from time to time. I'm glad we get to do it, even if it's only remotely.
That's right, yeah.
Thanks for having me, and my best to you and everybody else at WICH.
Good talking to you, and you still have a great radio voice.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michael. Be safe.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care.